Just my luck. We're in the middle of a national crisis and my nose has swollen up repulsively. I spent hours looking at our world map, but I couldn't see the Falkland Islands anywhere. Then my mother found them. They were hidden under a crumb of fruitcake.
Got a plane stuck on my nose. Life can deal some savage blows. Mum is pregnant and it shows. Poor old Queenie's had a stroke and my parents haven't spoke. Still no gyro and we're broke. This has gone beyond a joke. I'm profoundly in love with Pandora. Adolescence proves to be a strain. I would gladly lay my heart before her, despite these growing pains.
But it's swollen incredibly. It's 3 times its original size.
Your nose?
Yes. Remember, I got the model plane stuck on my nose. It could burst and take my brain with it.
It'll go down in a few days.
Adrian!
Anyway, that'll teach you to sniff glue.
I didn't.
You'll just have to look like Dustin Hoffman for a while.
Adrian, will you stop pestering the hospital?
Do I remind you of Dustin Hoffman?
You should be so lucky.
The discontented tuna. I am a tuna fish, swimming in the sea of discontent. Oh, when will I find the spawning ground? It's a symbolic poem.
Is it? Why are the curtains drawn?
To create a romantic ambience to share our love of verse.
It's 11 o'clock in the morning.
It's to stain the sight of my disfigured nose.
Don't be silly. When you love someone's soul, noses don't come into it. However horribly disfigured they are. Come here.
Everybody but me is sexually experienced. Barry Kent makes love to hundreds of housewives on his father's milk round.
Adrian,
Yes.
I'm wearing my mother's Janet Rager slip under my dress. It's all silk with lace at the shoulder strap and hem. If you wish, you may touch my hem.
Would it be possible to touch your shoulder strap?
No, darling. We must wait until we've got our O-levels.
If you really love me, you wouldn't wait.
If you really love me, you will wait.
All this sexual frustration is playing havoc with my skin.
I see no point in furthering this conversation. Anyhow, I'll have to put the slip back before my mother returns from the STP surgery.
And so the baby floats out into a warm and silent world of complete peace and safety.
There's something up with my mother.
Their union,
She just sits around the house, smoking and sighing and complaining.
at peace in the presence of the other.
Adrian!
Mum, that was dead interesting. And erotic.
Why don't you go and sulk in your room like all the teenagers?
Pauline.
What?
What is the matter with you, Pauline? Ever since you came back from that woman's clinic, you've been like this.
Really?
Yes, actually.
Perhaps she's not well.
Oh, no.
What are you doing, Mum?
Checking your corned beef, George.
What for?
For Argentinian corned beef.
What's that got to do with anything?
We are at war, you know, Pauline. There's one here from Brazil.
Mum,
Brazil's not in Argentina.
Well, where is it then?
Brazil's in Brazil!
Well, they're all the same down there. What's this festering in this jar?
It's beetroot. It's a housewarming gift for Bert and Queenie. Well, bungalow warming.
How thoroughly disgusting.
Bert and Queenie are now the proud owners of their own marital home. But look at this place. It's straight out of a washing powder advert. Poor Bert. How's he going to cope? He's only happy living in medieval squalor.
Hello, darling. Come on in. Bert, look who's here.
Well, I thought you'd forgotten all about us, Eldon.
I didn't want to disturb you on your honeymoon.
Ah, bless him.
In 5 weeks, we've only seen the Meals on Wheels, lady.
Sorry. I brought you a present.
Oh, beetroot, hey. Oh, get us a spoon, lass. Well, what do you think, eh?
It's like a junk shop. Very nice, Bert. So, what you been up to?
Well, they chucked me out of the British Legion
Why?
for saying that the Falklands belong to Argentina.
Britain's planning to spring a surprise attack on Argentina in 6 weeks' time.
Oh, fancy.
Don't be so bleeding daft.
It was on the news.
Well, how could it be a surprise attack if it's announced on the news, you daft bugger?
Once again, the jackboot of fascism stalks the earth. Once again, we hear the sound of the goose step, the iron tread of the tyrant's men with one goal and one goal only.
She'd finish, I want to go home and get my sprouts on.
The enslavement of the free world, the domination of the entire human race. So, what must the Christian do?
Oh, come on.
He must wake up, arise from his slumber, as he has done in 2 world wars.
I've made up my mind. I'm no longer a Christian believer.
And to have peace,
Grandma'll just have to find someone else to help her up the hill to church.
he must fight for it.
Not on an empty stomach.
Once again,
Good night, love.
Night.
What you doing?
Studying my Falklands map.
Oh.
Oh, Mum!
Oh, for God's sake, Adrian. This room's like a bloody shrine. Why don't you leave your clothes on the floor like normal teenagers?
I like things to be neat and tidy.
You're a bloody obsessive.
I pity my father having married my mother. Sometimes I just can't understand why he did it.
Why did I marry your mother? Why did I marry your mother? When I married your mother, they were all wearing miniskirts, women. And most of them looked bloody awful, but your mother had superb legs, I mean, fantastic, which gave her a definite rarity value, if you get my meaning. So I didn't hang about. Never make the mistake I made, Adrian. Never let a woman's body blind you to her character and habits.
But I don't love Pandora for her body. I love Pandora for her brain and her compassion for lesser mortals.
Look, kiddo, if Pandora was ugly as sin, you wouldn't have noticed her bloody IQ and bleeding heart in the first place. Now, if you want my advice, don't even think of getting married until you've spent a few months sharing a bedroom with a bird. If she leaves her knickers on the floor for more than 3 days running, forget it.
So much for my first man-to-man talk with my father.
Oppose the war!
Capture the woman, girl!
bring the boys home!
Sign of
Argentina, nuclear Argentina! Bum Argentina! Bum Argentina, sign the petition!
So what could a bomb in Argentina do?
It'd blow them all up! Anyway, you'd be talking different if they'd invaded England.
They haven't invaded England.
Yeah, well, it's as good as England.
What, 8,000 miles away?
Yeah, well, it's British, ain't it? Part of our empire.
Yeah, British Empire. Bring the boys up.
England.
Bring the boys up. England.
Barry Kent! Barry Kent! Go home and change your T-shirt!
But it's April the 23rd, miss.
So?
So, it's St George's birthday, our patron saint. I'm celebrating.
April 23rd is also Shakespeare's birthday. One day I will be a great writer like him. I'm well on the way. I've already had 2 rejection letters from the BBC.
Pofters!
Home, Kent!
Congratulations on your reinstatement.
Oh, thank you, Pandora. Thank you, Adrian.
Britain has regained South Georgia. There are no British casualties. At first light, 2 British helicopters attacked the Argentine submarine Santa Fe as she lay on top of the water. Earlier, members of the Special Boat Squadron had landed secretly to reconnoitre the area. The submarine Santa Fe is listing heavily in strong seas, leaking oil and smoking. It's exactly 3 weeks since Argentine forces took control of the island. The message that South Georgia was once again in our hands was relayed.
I hope my mother hasn't started dabbling with the occult.
It's positive, George.
Oh, but Pauline, I can't go through all that 3 o'clock in the morning stuff again. I'm not at my age.
It sounds as if my mother is making unreasonable sexual demands on my father.
I'll get it.
Is your dad in?
Dad? Dad?
What's the matter? Doreen!
She's put some weight on.
Oh, my God.
I thought you ought to know, George.
She's looking well, isn't she?
Blooming. We can't take the risk of having another baby like Adrian. Pauline, can we?
God, if only I had a daughter to talk to. It's that bloody Dr. Spock's fault Adrian's turned out like he has.
What have I turned out like?
You're an anal retentive, aren't you? Get a bag of potatoes, George.
Yeah. And you're tight-fisted. You've always got your perfectly groomed head in a book.
Carrots, Adrian, come on.
I must keep my voice light and melodious, which is not easy when you're in a state of severe shock.
Thank you.
Well, what sort of son did you want then?
My ideal son. He'd be a natural athlete, cheerful and outgoing.
He'd go to a school for the intellectually precocious. He'd be intense and saturnine. Lunch and meat. Not one, get 3.
James, to the manager's office, please. Mrs. James, your son Tony has been found and is waiting for you.
He'd be tall with ruddy, unblemished cheeks. He'd be decisive and play rugby.
Not all the same, George. Get some assorted. He would fascinate girls and women at an early age. He would enthrall visitors with his witty conversation. He would wear his clothes with panache.
He'd go fishing with his father and swap jokes.
He'd be completely non-sexist, non-racist and non-ageist.
He'd also heal the sick, raise the dead and walk on water.
He would be good officer material.
He would win a scholarship to Oxford. He'd take the place by storm and get written about in future biographies.
He would vote Conservative.
He'd go to South Africa and lead the blacks to a successful revolution.
And marry into a good family.
He would return to England where he would be the first man deemed fit to present Woman's Hour.
He would set up his own computer business in Guildford.
He would meet up with film stars and royalty. He'd move in sparkling social circles. He'd be on Russell Harty. He'd take his mother everywhere he went.
Well, I'm sorry if I'm a disappointment to you.
Oh, baby! It's not your fault, Adrian, it's ours. We should have called you Brett.
Brett? What's wrong with Adrian?
To be honest, Adrian, you were rather a grotesque baby. I mean, you were completely bald until you were 2. And you did have a very fierce expression.
So that's why my mother hasn't got a gilt-framed photograph of me on top of our television, like other mothers.
And the glasses didn't help. You looked like a cross between Winston Churchill and a rabid dog. I remember people tended to keep their distance a bit. You see, you weren't exactly cuddly.
My mother says she should have called me Brett.
Brett? Did she? Oh, he sounds a right nasty piece of work to me. I'm glad you didn't turn out like him. Oh! Come on, Adrian, spray that Ralgex on my arthritis. There we are. Oh.
Grandma's corset looks like a parachute harness.
Oh, it's cold, isn't it?
How'd you get in and out of it, Grandma?
With self-discipline, Adrian. Not many people know this, but much of my day is spent in a great deal of pain on account of this corset, but I never complain, because I have self-discipline. That's why this country's lost its backbone, because people have stopped wearing corsets. Oh!
I've just realised I've never seen a dead body, or a real female nipple. This is what comes of living in a cul-de-sac.
Who buys a minute's mirth to wail a week, or sells eternity to get a toy? For one sweet grape, who will the vine destroy?
Pandora, could I see one of your nipples? Possibly.
All right, that's it.
What?
Please leave.
Pardon?
Nothing would induce me to entertain your presence a moment longer, Adrian.
I just need to broaden my life experience, that's all.
I'm terminating our relationship forthwith. Goodbye.
Pandora, I only...
Only what? Our love was once a spiritual thing. We were united in appreciation of art and literature, but you have changed, Adrian. You've become morbidly fixated with my body. Make no attempt to contact me. I will, of course, return your poetry, seeing as I inspired it. If I were you, Adrian, I'd seek professional psychiatric help for your hypochondria and sex mania. Now, please go. Adrian?
Yes?
Anthony Perkins, who's the maniac in Psycho, was in analysis for 10 years, so there's no need to be ashamed.
The world is no longer exciting and colourful. It is grey and full of heartbreak. I have thought of doing myself in, But it wouldn't be fair on total strangers to have to find my corpse lying on the pavement. I'm now an adult. I now know what it is to suffer. In fact, I'm in total anguish.
I love her! I love her! I love her! Pandora! Oh. God. Pandora. Why? Why? Why did I ask her to show me a nipple? Anyone's nipple would have done.
She will read it at dusk, beneath the stars, in the stillness of the night. There must have been a death in the family.
You're all right. How do you think I feel wearing these tights?
Braithwaite, the Sultan of Elmstree Avenue.
So I said to him, the National Health Service is a joke.
Absolutely.
I mean, Bupa is entirely against my political beliefs.
Yes.
But of course, if it was a choice between life and death...
Mrs. Braithwaite.
But you're a liberal.
Well, we could always make an alliance.
Person. How marvellous! I said, what there is a normal person in our midst.
Yes, it was a Brillo party. Mind you, I'm rather worried.
Why's that, Pan?
Found I quite enjoy dressing up as a belly dancer, even though it's quite against my feminist principles to exhibit my body.
God, you are daring, Pan.
I know. Anyhow, how's Lenin?
Oh, she hasn't had a kittens yet. She may have to have a cesarean.
Poor thing.
So Pandora, who refused to show me one of her nipples in the privacy of her bedroom, is quite prepared to flaunt both of them at a public gathering.
It's appalling. Well, of course, Sharon Box will show you everything for 50p and a pound of grapes.
Who?
Sharon Box.
50p and a pound of grapes?
Yeah?
Both nipples?
Everything.
Nigel?
Hmm?
How much is a pound of grapes?
Sports news now, here's Keith Daniel.
Leicester boxer Tony Simpson says he's got his sights firmly set on...
By the way, Adrian, congratulations are in order. Your mother's 3 months pregnant.
pro win against Jacques Chinon says he doesn't fear
Well,
and believes he can
aren't you pleased?
world champion. Simpson
Adrian?
lined up his next fight on the trail that he believes
Yes.
will take him to the world crown.
Oh, what do you say to your mother?
Congratulations.
September.
And to your father?
The cost of Saturday's FA Cup.
Congratulations.
Against Spurs, clearing their promotion.
Thank you, Adrian.
May now be.
By November, a baby will be living in this house. I hope they don't expect me to share my room with it. And what about my A-levels in 2 years' time? How can I study with a toddler smashing the place up around me? 3 months pregnant! How could she do this to me?
Got a plane stuck on my nose, life can deal some savage blows. Mum is pregnant and it shows, wish she'd wear some proper clothes. Poor old Queenie's had a stroke and my parents haven't spoke. Still no gyro and we're broke, this has gone beyond a joke. I'm profoundly in love with Pandora. Adolescence proves to be a strain. I would gladly lay my heart before her, despite these growing